Hello crochet friends, welcome to Crazy Cool Crochet. This is Sylvia, and in this tutorial I am so excited to bring crochet beginners this special tutorial. I'm going to show you 4 different super easy beginner stitches. Believe it or not, these are beginner stitches. And to take it a step further, I will also provide you the patterns and the tutorials for specific projects using these easy stitches. So let's go ahead and get started. I want you to see right away just really truly how easy these stitches are. Now for the tutorials, for the accompanying designs and patterns, you will need to go in the white space below the video. You have to click where it says show more below the video. That will open up a whole other section where I provide all kinds of detail, including the links to each separate project. So make sure you go there. If you can't figure that out, then go ahead where it says Crazy Cool Crochet at the very bottom of the video. It will say Crazy Cool Crochet. Click that. That will take you to my home page. From there, go to the very top where it says Videos. Click Videos. That opens up the entire library. So now at that point, you're going to have to scroll down until you find each project. And don't forget, you can also go to my blog, crazycoolcrochet.com. That's where the written patterns will be. The first stitch that we're going to learn is a mesh stitch. And there are variations on a mesh. So this is one of those variations. Okay, so what you want to do typically, and what I'm going to do, is start with a chain and then a row of single crochets, like you see here, just to have a little foundation row. Okay, so the way I start my chain, again, super easy, put the hook in front of the yarn and then just twist all the way around. When you do your first chain, you've got your knot down here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, since I'm just doing a swatch here, it's not super important, the length of the chain. Okay, when you go to the actual pattern or the actual tutorial, that will give you the exact numbers for everything, of course. Okay, so now I'm going to do a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. That first one always shrinks up. You can barely see it. Don't count the loop on the hook. Let me make that last one a little bit bigger. Okay, so skip that first one, and then into the next chain, do a regular single crochet, and the same into each chain going across. Single crochets all the way to the end. So for this swatch at the end of the row, I'm going to chain 4 and turn. Now, as long as you're a beginner, you want to get into the habit of turning correctly. I have a whole other video on this. There is a right way and a wrong way to turn your work. While most people turn like that, I'm turning this way. I have all my life. Again, that video, I will link it below along with the other videos so that you see what the difference is. So now for the mesh stitch, we're going to skip that very first space right underneath the chain and then skip the next 2 into the next one. Do a single crochet. And now chain 3. Skip the next 2 spaces. In the next one, single crochet, chain 3. Skip the next 2 spaces. In the next space, single crochet, chain 3, and just keep doing that all the way across. Skip 2, single crochet, chain 3. So when you reach the end of the row and you've entered your last single crochet into the last chain, you will chain 4. And then turn the work. Now you're going to single crochet into that very first large space, chain 3, single crochet into the next large space, chain 3, and continue that across your row. And enter your last single crochet into that last large space. And then chain 4. And then repeat. So again, enter your single crochet into the large space, chain 3, single crochet into the large space, chain 3, and that is a mesh stitch. Now with this stitch, you will be able to make this project, which happens to be a shrug, a summer shrug. So there's a photo of that. So go ahead and find that video or head over to the blog. Now let's try the next stitch. For this next crochet stitch, I don't actually have a name for it. I think I made it up as I went along, but don't worry, it's really easy. Okay, so you're going to start with a chain, and when you go to the tutorial, you'll see exactly how many. And then we start with a double crochet into the 3rd chain from the hook. So we skip the first 2. Remember, don't count that loop on the hook. Skip the first 2, double crochet into the next. Now we're going to skip the next chain, and we're going to double crochet into the next 2 chains. So skip that one, double crochet in the next, double crochet in the next, skip the next chain, double crochet in the next 2. Skip the next chain, double crochet in the next 2. As you might have guessed, that is the pattern across the row. And I am so sorry if the focus keeps coming and going. This camera just has a mind of its own. Skip a chain, double crochet in the next 2. When you get to the end of the row, you'll have 2 chains left over. Skip 1 chain and then double crochet in the last chain. Then chain 3 and turn. Now we are going to enter a double crochet right away into that space, that very first space, double crochet. Now we're going to skip these 2 double crochets below and into the next space. Enter 2 double crochets. So you will continue entering 2 double crochets into each space between the 2 double crochets below. 2 double crochets are right here. Work 2 double crochets into the space. Skip these 2 double crochets, 2 double crochets into the big space, all the way across. When you get to the end of the row, you'll have that last space. So do your 2 double crochets. Now you've got a space before that turning chain. See the turning chain at the end of the row? And there's a space. So go ahead and enter 1 double crochet into the space. And then 1 last double crochet into the actual chain. Just shove it in there. Chain 3 and turn. So now you will enter 2 double crochets into that first space. So we are counting these first 2 here as 2 double crochets. So remember, you're going into the spaces between the 2 double crochets. Okay, so that will be your first space that you are working into. 2 double crochets. And then again into the next space. 2 double crochets, and then repeat that all the way across. So now again, when you reach the end, you've got the space before the turning chain. So enter 1 double crochet in the space and 1 double crochet into the turning chain. Chain 3 and turn. And that was your repeat row. So now you do the same thing in the next row. There's your first 2, there's your first space, 2 double crochets in each space. See, easy. And you will be able to make my super popular pocket shawl. So as you can see from the photo, the magic really happens in the color of the yarn. So I used an ombre. And as far as I'm concerned, you have to use an ombre to make this special. So go on over, find that video, or go to crazycoolcrochet.com, find the pattern there, and make yourself this gorgeous, super easy crochet pocket shawl. Now for this next crochet stitch, we are going to do another variation on a mesh stitch, as you can see right here. So we are starting with the chain and the first row of single crochets. Since we've already done that in the last couple projects, we're just going to go right ahead into the good stuff. Okay, so you did your row of single crochets. Again, this is just to show you the stitch, and then the actual stitch by stitch, row by row will be at the video for this project or at the blog. All right, so now at the end of the row of single crochets, you are going to chain 3 and turn. Okay, now that very first space under the chain, skip that. Into the next space, enter a slip stitch. Okay, so you're going under those 2 strands. See that chain that forms at the top? Under the 2 strands, slip stitch. So grab your yarn, bring it through, straight through that loop on the hook. That's a slip stitch. Now chain 2. Skip the next space. In the next one, slip stitch again. Grab your yarn, bring it right through the loop on the hook. Chain 2. Skip the next space, and the next one, slip stitch, chain 2. Skip a space, slip stitch, chain 2, and continue that across the row. At the end of the row, you'll have 2 spaces left. Skip one as usual and slip stitch into the last one. There's your 2 strands. Slip stitch, chain 3, turn. Now you'll be working your slip stitches into these spaces, the chain 2 spaces. Okay, so enter your slip stitch into that first space, chain 2, slip stitch into that next space. Can you see it there? The space is smaller than you might be used to. Slip stitch, chain 2. Slip stitch, chain 2, and continue across the row. So because we are doing slip stitches and only 2 chains, you are going to get a tighter weave than you did on the last mesh stitch that you tried. So you will slip stitch into that last space and chain 3. Turn and repeat. Slip stitch into that first space, chain 2, slip stitch into each space. How easy is this? So you see, by learning these basic stitches or simple stitches and simple stitch combinations, you as a beginner really can make some crochet wearables for yourself that are super easy. Not only is the stitch easy, but the patterns that accompany the stitches are very beginner friendly, I promise. No increasing, no decreasing, easy. So again, go find the tutorial or the pattern for this stitch. Here's a photo of it. So let's go to the next one. This next stitch is going to be the extended single crochet, which is a stitch that I absolutely love to work with. And if you're seeing 2 colors over here, oh yes, my beginner crochet friend, you are going to learn very, very easily with this project how to change colors and use 2 colors for this poncho. So as we've been doing, you are going to start with a chain and then a row of single crochets. So at the end of your first row, you're going to chain 2 and turn. Okay, now you're going to skip again that very first space under the turning chain, skip that. Into the next space, we're going to work an extended single crochet. So you're going to start your single crochet as usual. Bring your yarn through, 2 loops on the hook. So here's where the change comes in. Pull the yarn through 1 loop. So you still have 2 loops on the hook again. Now pull the yarn through both loops. That is an extended single crochet. Chain 1. Skip a space. Work an extended single crochet in the next space. Okay, so start your single crochet as usual. 2 loops on the hook. Rather than pull through both loops, you're only pulling through 1 loop. Then you will pull through the last 2 loops and chain 1. Skip a space Do that again. Extended single crochet. Pull through for 2 loops on the hook. Pull through 1 loop. Pull through 2 loops. So as you can see, this is a longer stitch than a regular single crochet. Chain 1, skip a space, extended single crochet. 2 loops on the hook, pull through 1, pull through 2, chain 1, and continue across the row. How easy is that? At the end of the row, you will have done your chain 1, skip 1, and then in the last space, whoops, you want to go under your 2 strands. Pull up your loop, pull through 1, pull through 2, chain 2, and turn. Now you will be working the extended single crochets into the spaces. Chain 1, go into the next space. So you're skipping the actual stitches. You're going into the spaces to do your work. Okay, so into the next space, 2 loops on the hook, pull through 1, pull through 2, chain 1, and continue. So once again, this is a very simple but fun and beautiful stitch. Isn't that pretty? At the end of the row, you've got your space right before the turning chain. So work your extended single crochet, chain 2, and turn. That's your pattern. Isn't that beautiful? I love this stitch. So again, look for the video. I call this the shawl, wrap, poncho. I wasn't sure what to call it, but once again, very simple, no decreasing or increasing, and you can still work up a gorgeous wearable, even as a beginner, and I promise you, you can do these color changes. Super simple. I hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial and that you are going to try at least one of these. Maybe all of them. So enjoy your craft and be sure to come back or head over to my homepage where you will find many more crochet projects, and quite a few of them are for beginners. So you will find other videos, other tutorials besides wearables. In case you're not interested in wearables, I also do home decor. Go take a look. Come back often, and we will see you on the next project. Thank you so much for watching.